So I think that the key thing with a startup is to find a passion, something you're really excited about. Be willing to change and adapt. And just like all these videos out here, you're going to hear a lot of different opinions and read about a lot of different opinions. And you're going to have to adapt those to both your personal style and strengths, as well as what your market actually needs. And as long as you keep those key things in mind, what the market needs and your personal strengths, and you keep that passion in there as well, then you're going to be on a path to being successful. Don't let other people or other ideas sidetrack you from those key things, because they don't have your passion, your knowledge, and your expertise. You bring those uniquely to the table, find those key customer needs, and just go after them. Hi, my name is Chris Sowa. I am an entrepreneur here at the Cambridge Innovation Center. But my background has actually always been in business-to-business sales. I've worked for large companies like IBM, SAP, and Oracle. At Oracle, I ended up my career there being Vice President of Industry and Strategy. My whole focus has always been on helping customers build out strategic roadmaps that can enable what they need to do. And also in large part, strategic selling and different ways of doing selling. And what I want to talk to you all about today is something called provocative selling. This is a strategy that we developed within the team that I was in at Oracle, but it's also out in the literature. If you search for challenger selling, you'll see there's a number of references you can look into as well. But traditionally, selling goes into a couple of different modes as you're looking to position your sales. Some people are just great salespeople, and they're the people who you like to go out to dinner with them. And just by going out to dinner with them and hanging out, and they're such fun guys, somebody's going to write them a big check. And that actually happens sometimes. That's one form of selling. That's called the relationship selling. Another form of selling that we saw in the course of my career was consultative selling. These are people who come in, listen, and they ask lots of good questions. And then they reformulate whatever they're selling to what the customer is talking about, what their specific needs are. And the other type of selling, we've seen this a lot. If you've ever got a telemarketer on the phone, they're going to come in and they're going to tell you all about everything they do. Here's my product, here's my product, here's my product. And then you try to get a word in edgewise, and it may be, if the guy who's selling or a woman who's selling is lucky, you might actually be interested before you hang up. What I want to talk about is a little bit of a combination of those things. It's called provocative selling, and I think it's a natural for those of you who come from an academic background, because it starts with coming from a point of view, an area of expertise. So as a customer, you're actually going to be getting new information. You're going to find out something that's a little different from what they think of as the as is. So you come in with this perspective and you talk about how things could be in the future, how things could be different, obviously, around the area related to whatever your product or service is. And then you listen, right? And let them react and join into that discussion. And so it's a little bit of consultative selling here. You're adapting the part of this great future vision which you're painting that is relevant to them, right? And so at this point, ideally is what you would do is build out a strategic roadmap that would help that customer achieve this vision and ultimately achieve their strategic business and IT objectives. Things like increased customer engagement, increased market share, sales. And then the last part of provocative selling is it's cool to have an idea or a point of view, but then you need to close it out with a business case. So that means actually figuring out from a customer's perspective, what are you doing for them with your product or solution? You want to point out to them, what is the tangible business case? And you don't necessarily know exact numbers because some companies are private. Some of the information might be public, but as somebody who's an academic and a researcher, you can come up with a pretty good hypothesis of what that value could be, and you should present that back to them. And I'm usually pretty open with that discussion. So here's, based on all the research and analysis that I've done, this is what I think the business case could be for you. Now, if we sit down and we talk with your specific numbers, we can refine the business case and come up with a value proposition that is really specific to what you need to get done. So what you're doing in the part of this sell is you've got their interest. You're bringing a new point of view to the table. You're educating them. You're aligning with their business objectives, number two. And number three, you're linking it back to a tangible business case, which will help your buyer convince their management team, their board of directors, whoever else needs to be involved in the selling process, the business case that they need to buy from you, which is what you want so they can write the check to your team and have a great sale. And by the way, this kind of value will make them want to bring you in for the next time you have a new product or solution discussion with them. Hi, my name is Chris Sowa. I'm the CEO of Tooncrier. We bring emotional virtual reality to the world. Our customers are traditional media companies. Their needs are finding new ways to engage with customers. So those papers that a lot of us read and other people that generate great content, a lot of times they found themselves kind of as a pass-through on social media sites for the average customer. So they're having difficulty engaging those customers. The second challenge that they're having is around creating new revenue models. So they had great revenue models with print. They had subscribers, people delivering the papers. All of that has gone away, as we all know, but they haven't really been able to generate enough digital advertising to offset that larger advertising medium they had before in the print media. So that's where we started when we started thinking about our initial beachhead market for our emotional virtual reality as a business-to-business customer. How are we going to help these guys? The first thing we do as Tooncrier is we give them a new way to have their subscribers interact. So deep customer engagement. What we do is we help their users project their digital emotions and nonverbal communication onto the internet. So now, rather than just going out and typing in some text into their comments field, they can now use an avatar to actually show how they feel about something, and also show things like arm movements, nonverbal communication, the way that we humans actually interact all the time. So think deep customer engagement. The second thing is a new revenue stream. There's a lot of companies out there that have been very successful selling emojis and other digital accessories. Believe it or not, that's a $5.8 billion market. This is a new potential revenue source for them as well. So as they use Tooncrier avatars and or their own avatars with our technology, they can then get a piece of that $5.8 billion market to help them become more profitable in an area that they've been suffering on. The last thing, which is brand new for them, and that is, how do we learn more about our customers, what their needs are? Sure, they could do surveys, and I think a lot of you out there who are been in academic settings have probably done some deep research surveys. But in this case, the surveys aren't necessary. We're actually capturing emotional data. We do this using machine learning from the voice and also from different images. So we don't just kind of survey and see how do the population feel about this particular topic that we created articles and had discussions about on our site. We'll actually know how they felt, and we'll know how intensely they felt about it. So what does this do for them? This opens up new ways for them to do curation. They can really hone in on the things that are most important to their customers. The second thing is for their advertisers. Imagine if they could tell their advertisers, well, this is how people are reacting to your advertisement. You might want to change it up because the reaction that you're getting is not what your targeted desired reaction is. So they're providing a great deal more value to their customers. They're increasing customer engagement. They're generating new revenue. And also, on top of that, they're capturing the value of emotional data. And that's really the value proposition that we're trying to give back to them. So what Tooncrier offers, essentially, we're giving people a new way to express themselves on the internet, and that is the users of our B2B customers. So traditional media companies, their users will now have the ability to share nonverbal communication, both with voice and also just the way that they move. Their characters will take on their emotions. So this is something that's not available today. Text is great. If you want to say, hey, meet me outside by the car, we're not trying to replace that. But if you want to say, hey, congratulations on that new job, that's fantastic, that's awesome. You can put a smiley face out there or some funky little character, but that's not going to project how you authentically feel. Tooncrier actually does that for you through your avatar. And then some people say, well, how are you different from, say, video conferencing? Well, what we've learned through our research, and the key thing is when you're looking at customers to do research, we did both focus groups and surveys with customers. We found out that customers really, a large percentage of them don't like video conference because that means they have to get dressed up. They don't like being on camera on the wall. They feel awkward, especially if they're in a video conference, when they're rubbing their face or drinking their coffee, because everybody else that's in the room is seeing that. Additionally, they might not want people to see their office. Maybe they've got some clothes or something, or maybe there's a kid running around in the background. So this is a new way for them to communicate without worrying about, kind of the funky things that happen in video conference. They can now have a professional persona or just a different persona as an avatar, a new way for them to engage. So we deliver our service as a plugin into existing customers' backends. So all of our customers have subscribers already, and they're using text-based interactions, typical chats or blog type environments. What we're looking to do is to just plug in our avatar as an option into their existing backend, so that their users can very quickly start using our avatars in emotional virtual reality as an interesting option, a new way for them to engage. So we generate revenue by selling to traditional media companies. So that's print advertising companies, and also some more modern companies, but I guess now going back a little bit ways, back to blogs. So those companies that are using text. And how we do that is we sell them either an enterprise-wide subscription, so we give them an SDK to plug into their back end, and then that connects into AWS for us, so that we can help with emotions. So it's either an enterprise licensing model or a model that's based on the number of users or subscribers that they have. And then we charge an annual fee, a subscription fee for that. So we went through several different iterations in terms of developing our prototype and our product. The second thing that we did was we then built a new prototype that does the emotion capture. And we first started out with tracking and image capture, and then we built in some machine learning for voice. So that model was separate, and then we joined that model with our avatars that we have our design experts working on that are looking to project different emotions, even from the body, in new ways, and then essentially connecting those into a model, both in a desktop version originally, and then once we had our desktop version working well, we moved it into a mobile device so that people could capture emotions from images, from the camera, and from the voice through the microphones. So we're going to scale our business the traditional B2B way, which essentially means building a B2B sales force in combination with traditional PR and marketing. So we'll be circulating stories about how people are interacting in new ways. People will start to hear about that, and more and more customers are going to want to use our technology. But we'll actually have a direct sales force. So my evolution to becoming an entrepreneur and a CEO of my own company started in a large institution, like much of you. I worked for IBM and then SAP and Oracle. In the course of that, I worked with some new user interfaces that I was helping my customers with, artificial intelligence characters. And so this kind of gave me the idea. It's like, boy, I really like these characters, so I have a passion for it. So that was good. If you're going to start a business, you better have a passion for it. The second thing is I saw there was a real need for businesses to interact with customers in new ways. So I started thinking about what was possible and what's missing in those interactions, and that's where I identified emotional context was an important piece. And the other thing was I found somebody else who had kind of fell into the same thing. It's good to have a co-founder. My co-founder, Julie Huang, was actually also working on a thesis that he had developed around emotional virtual reality using shapes and colors. So we joined my business-driven model and his design-driven expertise. Seemed to make a good business, and so we dove in together, and we've been building Tooncrier ever since, and it's a lot of fun.